All right, welcome in everybody to the Silver Screen Show. I am your host, Labruski. With me, as always, is my co-host, Aiden. Aiden, how are you today?
I am good. I am good. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Watch anything, any movies, any TV shows besides the one we're going to talk about today over the last week?
I saw that movie. My friend asked me to go see One of Them Days with
One of them days?
SZA.
I don't know it.
Yeah, it was fine. It wasn't my thing, but it was cool.
Well, that's
Yeah, I
good.
can't really think of anything else. But what about you?
Let's see. I watched.
Invincible's back.
Yeah. I started that. I
I
watched
haven't seen it.
like the first half of the first episode. That was pretty good. I started Silo on Apple
Oh,
TV. Have you
Silo's
watched
good.
that?
Yes, I saw the first season. That was good.
Yeah. I'm only like 3 episodes into that one though, so
Okay.
I still have to watch more of it. But I enjoyed what I saw. It reminded me a bit of like Fallout,
I
which
get
I
that.
enjoyed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
enjoyed
Fallout's
that.
great.
Yeah. So what else did I watch? Did I watch anything else? I don't think so, really. No, that was it. I watched the
Still
new
haven't.
Spider-Man show.
Oh, is that good?
Not really.
Okay. Yeah, looked a little
I
bit.
mean, you might like it. Personally, I did not think it was anything crazy.
Yeah, I'm not really a
Um,
huge
yeah, I don't
Spider-Man
know.
guy. The games are great.
Yeah.
Games are
Oh
great.
yeah, the games are cool. But yeah, I don't know. I was not crazy about it, to be honest with you. Um, yeah, it was just
Feels a
okay,
little
in my
bit like
opinion.
it feels a little bit like why are we doing this?
Yeah, no, for sure. It was just kind of bland. And I talked about that too in my show I did about it. It was just Yeah, it was just bland overall. I was not crazy about it.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk about 2 movies today. One being The Apprentice and the other being Conclave. Now, let me ask you before we dive in, which one did you like more?
Conclave. Conclave.
I would agree. I think Conclave is the better made movie. I did
Yeah.
like The Apprentice, though.
The Apprentice was like when I heard that Sebastian Stan was playing Trump, I thought like,
Yeah.
yikes, that's a odd choice. But I thought well, we'll get into that when we talk about
Yeah.
the
No, I mean, I thought he did a good job at Donald Trump, you know?
Yeah.
Um, But yeah, I would say Conclave is the better because they're both kind of dramas, and I would say Conclave is
Yeah.
definitely the better drama. Um, but yeah, why don't we dive into it? Why don't we talk about The Apprentice first?
Sure, yeah, let's go in alphabetical order.
Yeah. What did you like most about it? I'll start with that.
Definitely the performances, in my opinion. I thought that
Yeah.
Sebastian Stan was great. There were times when I was looking at him and just thinking like, "Oh my God, that's Donald Trump." Like that it was kind of bizarre how good he was. Like I've
Yeah, he
always
was.
known that he was a good actor, but I did not know he was I mean, for him to play Trump is crazy. And I thought
Yeah,
Jeremy Strong was great. I thought
I
him as
agree.
Roy Cohn was like this I mean, I'm used to that from him, this kind of transformative, probably hyper dramatic
Right.
work that he does, but I thought he was like he looked very different. Um yeah, I mean, that was probably my favorite aspect of the film was just like I hate those two people. So to see performances that where I appreciated them, I didn't dread it at all. It was like, okay, I mean, I'll give you credit. You made Trump an interesting person, which
Yeah. No, I agree. So you wouldn't say you like either of these real life people more after watching
no,
the
I'm a
movies?
massive like not at all a fan of Donald Trump, not at all a fan of Roy Cohn. They're both
I
monsters.
I do think the movie does a decent job at being unbiased, you know?
Oh yeah, yeah. No, it's not a
There
movie that Republicans should be complaining about. I don't think.
No, I mean, I don't know. There is like one scene in particular with Trump that it was like the most serious scene in the film
I
about,
think
you
I
know,
know. I think I know what you're talking about.
yeah, with Ivana,
Yeah, that
and
was
it like
intense.
took that was like a dark scene, you know, very dark, and it just it, once once that happened, I was like, okay, all right, yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't like Trump. I don't like Trump anymore after watching the movie, I guess. So I don't know. I thought it was pretty good, but like I said, I think it did a pretty good job at being like unbiased
Oh yeah,
when
no,
portraying
totally.
these two real life people, and they do come off almost as characters on their. You know, I think I don't know
Yeah.
much about Roy Cohen. I didn't really even know who he was before watching this movie. Um, but I think both the real life people they do have per, a persona about them that it comes off as like they're playing characters a little bit in real life, you know?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I think they just kind of amplify that a little bit here too. And I think it works really well. I do think it has a bit of like some pacing issues a little bit. It does a lot of time skips throughout the film,
Mhm.
and it's not made abundantly clear that there is some that there was a time skip. Um, I don't think that hurts the film necessarily. Like I'm okay with it, you know, it not directly telling us there was a time skip. Like, you know, it relies on the dialogue to get that message across, which I liked. But it does feel a little like, especially the beginning to maybe almost like halfway, it feels a little rushed and it's very fast paced. But I don't know if that benefits the film because I mean the whole film really is about the relationship between Trump and Roy Cohen.
Yeah.
Um, and I just felt that was a little forced at times in the movie.
Okay.
Um, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I actually do know quite a bit about Roy Cohn because
Mhm.
he's actually a character in the Angels in America play that became
Okay.
a an HBO miniseries where Al Pacino played him.
I do know that performance of Al Pacino playing Roy
Yeah.
Cohen. I haven't seen the play or the HBO show or whatever, but
HBO show is quite good, but Roy Cohn actually worked for Joe McCarthy during the McCarthy era where he was like going after suspected communists
the
and
Red
really
Scare. Yeah.
yeah, and really creating like this atmosphere of fear which, you know, does seem to align with Trump's whole, you know, vibe, so it makes sense and
Well, it's effective, you know, and
yeah, I
there's
mean,
and trying to you know arouse the public into being scared of something. I mean
yeah.
it's very effective, you know, and I think that applies very much to today's politics and world.
Yeah.
um and back then, you know, during the Red Scare with McCarthyism and whatnot, you know. So I didn't know that. That's interesting.
But
The
yeah, no, I definitely thought that yeah, no, I know about Roy Cohn, and
mhm.
so, um, and then he became this, you know, big shot lawyer who could kind of scare people into, you know, he like in the movie at least he, you know, blackmails people and calls them on the phone and just like completely tears them apart within like
Yeah,
it's just like this bulldozer of a person,
right.
and yeah, I mean, I also thought Ivana Trump, the actress who plays her, was quite good. I know she's from the Borat sequel.
Yep.
Um,
She voices a character in Creature Commandos too, the
she
newer
does. She
DC
does.
show. Yeah.
And
Yeah, I
she's
think
in Guardians of the Galaxy.
yeah, she plays the dog. I can't remember the
Yeah.
dog's name.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think she did great in this film. I think she's a great actress, and from my understanding too, Sacha Baron Cohen, is that his name?
Mhm.
Borat. He like just found her kind of randomly. Like she was not really an actress before. And I could be wrong in this. I think I heard this though. Um, but Borat was like really her first acting gig, and now
Wow.
she's you know she's kind of not necessarily become like a big star, but I mean she's working and doing well. So
Yeah.
yeah, I thought she did good in this. Yeah, I thought she did great.
And
So
I also liked I thought the guy who played the father was good. He
Yeah.
definitely they both him and Sebastian Stan really nailed that kind of Trump types like way of moving and interacting with people in this kind of like clearly insecure that you need
Mhm.
to uh you need to make like you need to establish yourself in every room all the time, that kind of thing. But what I really appreciated was how Sebastian Stan, like, it is a full blown character arc. At first you don't Trump like he's a kind of a dick. He's like pressuring people in these really shitty homes that his dad's running. But you kind of like he's got some elements of good in there. Like he's not this monster. And I thought that to see him like feel this sense of he gets this grasp of power from Roy Cohn, and it kind
Mhm.
of and the progression was just really seamless, I felt.
The character
And
arc
that
of
scene that you were
Trump,
talking
yeah.
about was like that's kind of the moment that he switches to this other thing.
Yeah, no, for sure. I agree with you there. I yeah, I I think Trump's arc is good. Um and the way it's portrayed and whatnot is very effective. And yeah,
You
it
also
is
kind of feel
interesting.
bad for oh sorry. I don't mean to
No, go ahead.
Well, you also kind of feel bad for Roy Cohn once he gets like I mean spoiler, but it is like well known that he gets AIDS. And you kind of feel like you see the way Trump treats him later on, and this total betrayal, and you don't really Roy Cohn deserves like some type of
Yeah,
karma,
it's
but
made clear that Roy Cohen's not a saint by any
yeah,
means.
but
He does a
nevertheless,
lot of shady stuff, and he's very good at being a crooked lawyer.
yeah,
Who's just he says he does everything he does for the protection of democracy and whatnot, and it's made very clear that that's really not why he does what he does. He does it for
or at
his
least
own
that's what
self
he tells
interest.
himself.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. So I do think the movie does a pretty good job portraying Roy Cohen, and because I feel like Cohen, he doesn't really have an arc. He's very much a static character, where we see Trump become, Trump essentially, where he starts out, and this is talking about Trump. He starts out in a place that's um it's clear that he's, doing okay for himself. He's working for his dad, and he's going door to door in the apartment building trying to get rent and whatnot. Um, but I think the film does a pretty good job showing that Trump almost feels a little like taken advantage of a little bit when it comes to like the tenants and whatnot. How,
Mhm.
like he gets boiling water thrown at him, and they are just not doing, the tenants are not paying the rent, and he so it's that part is somewhat made clear to the audience that um why he does what he does later on in the film, and how cutthroat, and how much of a lack of empathy he has towards his tenants, when he
Yeah,
does kind of make it. um Not to say that's justifying why he does what he does, but I do think the film does a pretty good job portraying that, and I think that almost comes back to like the unbiased part of it, where you don't feel bad for Trump necessarily, even at the beginning, because he does come from a rich family, right? And
yeah, yeah.
you know he did get a lot of things handed to him, for sure. Um, so I don't know. It's a tough thing to talk about, even almost. I feel like,
Yeah,
you
I
know.
mean, so I kind of half agree with the statement on Roy Cohn and not having an arc. I don't think he has a full arc, but I do
Mhm.
think he changes by the end because of what's happening to him. And I
Mm.
don't like dying of AIDS is something that is truly terrible. Like, I wouldn't wish that on anybody. But you see him kind of he's at least seeing the monster he's created. You
A
know,
little
I do
bit. I
think the
don't.
movie is like trying to make that statement at least or maybe not monster, but he's created this person who is so like obsessed with certain things
Yeah.
that
Well,
it's like, yeah,
I think Roy Cohen towards the end of the film, and even throughout the entire film, really, but I think especially at the end of the film, he realizes like that Trump's essentially him. He
yeah,
and it's there's even a line about it how Roy Cohen looks at Trump and thinks of himself. You
mhm.
know, I don't know if Roy Cohen necessarily at towards the end of the film when he's dying and stuff, if he looks at Trump and thinks like, "Oh, what have I done?" You
Oh no, I
know,
don't mean it like that.
yeah,
I should have rephrased it.
I
More
think
of
he
like,
does. I think he does have some sort of recognition, like he helped essentially create Trump a little bit, for sure. And he had a huge influence on his life. I mean, you look at it's, I don't know if you noticed this too, but at the beginning of the film, Trump, he doesn't have that like orange tan to him.
yeah,
And
yeah,
Roy Cohen does. So it's just a small little detail I noticed where once Trump begins to, become famous and rich and whatever, he does kind of adopt that orange tan, um, from Roy Cohen. And I found that interesting. But yeah, I
mhm.
don't know if Roy Cohen necessarily has an arc. Um, but I like, I mean, it's toward the end of his life too. He always denied the fact that he was gay and that he had AIDS. He said he had
Yeah,
pneumonia or something. And I think lying about that and saying no, I'm not gay, and when it's just so abundantly clear to everyone, like, dude, who are you fooling? You're dying of AIDS. It's
yeah,
been rumored that you're gay and whatnot forever. Like it's so obvious, but he's still denying that fact, and I think that plays into the three rules that Cohen and Trump has, and so I don't know if he necessarily has an arc. But I do see what you're saying. I mean, you do empathize with him for sure because, like what you said, dying of AIDS is not a pleasant experience from what I hear. So, on a human level, you do empathize with him that of what he's going,
yeah,
and he
yeah. I
does
mean,
come off very sick and whatnot. Yeah,
I mean, I think the only reason that he kind of feels regretful about what he's done with Trump is because it's affecting him. You know, he's not being treated well by Trump. He's been betrayed in a way that he probably betrayed many people, but
right,
never saw it in their perspective. And now he's kind
right.
of feeling
That's
that. And,
interesting.
you know, I think that's the only reason that I think if Trump had kept him in his pocket, he probably wouldn't have like had that feeling at all. I think it's
Right.
totally because of it's affecting him. And that's kind of sometimes there's some people who are only going to learn things by how it affects them. And
Yeah,
I
you
think
get
that's part of that's definitely intentional by the director is to show that like these are people who no matter what you think about them, they are pretty self-centered to a certain extent. I mean,
yeah,
they are pretty like it's about
shallow.
me, you know,
I think they're
shallow,
both pretty
exactly. They're
shallow.
very
Yeah.
shallow.
Yeah, no, because you're right. I mean, he does get Roy Cohen definitely does get a taste of his own medicine at
Exactly.
the end, and I think it does just go to show how shallow both him and Trump are.
Yeah.
So I
I
think
thought
the
that scene when he asked the doctor about AIDS, that was cracking me up.
yeah,
Like, you know, he's
yeah,
like, you know, just like doesn't he like kind of insisting certain things that the doctor is saying are not scientifically true, and it's just like it was funny. I thought that was funny.
yeah. No, I agree with you for sure. That was that was a more funny moment
Yeah.
in the movie. We do have some commenters here. Jack Gola, my friend from North Carolina, what is up?
Oh, North
Yeah,
Carolina. My dad was
yeah,
from North Carolina.
that's right. I remember you telling me that. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have Ian and Becca Comics. Yo, how you doing? I hope you're doing well. We are talking about the Apprentice right now. Um, But yeah, I do think this film's pretty good. I think if you're, I can see why people who love Trump may not like this movie for sure.
Mhm.
Because I mean, they think it's made up, right? And maybe
Yeah.
some of it is very much dramatized, right? And I think that that's for every nonfiction biopic in
It
Hollywood
says
is
that. It says that in the beginning of the movie. Like this
yeah.
is dramatized.
I'm sure that's more so they don't get sued, but
Oh
I
yeah.
think they have gotten sued, which makes
No, they almost
sense.
got banned. The movie almost got banned from the US.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, that's nuts. But yeah, I mean, I think this film overall, if you're a film enthusiast, I would say I would recommend it. Um, I think if you're a fan of Trump going into it, um, I don't think this film's necessarily going to make you hate Trump. Um, for I don't know various reasons, but I think if you do dislike Trump, this film's not necessarily going to make you like Trump. I think it
Yeah.
does do a pretty good job at being unbiased and whatnot, and it's got some great performances. I like how it was shot. It was shot
Yeah,
in
I was
like
gonna say it shot
the aspect
like The
ratio was a
Apprentice.
little. What's that?
It would shot like his show The Apprentice or like a home video.
Yeah,
It's not a pretty movie, and I thought that was
right.
perfect.
Yeah, I like that. I thought that worked well. Because it is kind of a
Yeah.
period piece a little bit too in the 70s and 80s. Following Trump's rise. So I did like that. And yeah, like I said, it's got some great performances. It's shot pretty well. I think like I said, I think it does have a little bit of some pacing issues, especially for the first half. I think the second half is pretty well paced. Um, and yeah, I think it's a good drama. I would say it's not like a comedy or anything.
No, no.
Um, there's maybe only a handful of like somewhat humorous moments. I would say.
Mhm. I had no
Um,
idea about Trump's brother. I had no idea that
yeah,
his brother had died.
I did hear about that at one point. Fred Trump. But I didn't know the kind of the whole story and whatnot. So
Yeah.
so yeah, that was a interesting aspect too, I guess. And I think there is maybe some you can draw some parallels between maybe I don't even know. I was gonna say like maybe Fred Trump. That was like once Fred Trump dies, then Trump is kind of less empathetic and whatnot, and he like
Probably
that's
feels alone, and
yeah
that can
maybe, but
create.
it seemed like too Trump has like a lot of anger towards his brother, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so it wasn't like the relationship was smooth or anything when he was alive. So I don't know. Well, I thought it was well done overall.
Yeah, me
I would
too.
recommend it. And and yeah, I thought it was pretty good. What would you give it on like a 1 out of 10? What would you say?
I'd give it an 8. I'd give it an 8.
I'd probably give it like a 7.5. I'd say.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess this was a film that like I was fully prepared not to like.
Okay.
And yeah.
Interesting.
So when a movie can make me like when I'm not gonna like it and then I end up liking it, I got to give it some credit on that front. Because there's a lot of movies that I go to see that I know I'm gonna like, and so it's nice to be have a little surprise.
A little pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Let's unless we have anything else to add, why don't we talk a bit about Conclave?
Yeah, let's talk about
Um,
Conclave. That's a
let me
crazy movie.
yeah, give me one sec. Okay, I put a banner up that way folks just tuning in know what movie we're talking about.
Okay.
Um, yeah, Conclave. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a bit of a slow burn for sure.
Mhm.
It was very much a slow burn. But I did think it was a very good drama. And
Yeah.
yeah, so I guess tell me what your initial thoughts are about this film in particular.
Well, the person who comes to mind is Ray Fiennes,
Mhm.
who definitely I can't say he carries this movie because there's a bunch of great performances, but he is the centerpiece to it. And without him, it would not be the same. And he does this thing where and like, it's something not many actors can do, but he's really good at being small in such a big setting with all these players interacting. He's I mean, I've been a fan of his for years, and this is just like
Mhm.
another reminder of why he's so great. But to see him play a character who was so uncertain of himself and doubtful, and it's a real person, it's a real person. It's not this, he's a normal human being. And I don't
Right.
know, I found that really powerful to be able to present someone who was doubtful of things. And it's refreshing to see a movie about religion where doubt is such a big factor in it, because that is something that religion tends to leave out of itself. And the idea of doubt is perfectly valid. You can have doubts about religion, like it's a doubtful
Sure.
subject.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I do think, I mean, his character is, the main protagonist. Um, and yeah, I mean, we follow him throughout this story, and I do wish him having doubts and whatnot about his faith was more highlighted, because I think that's super interesting. Um, and it's touched upon here and there, but it's never really explored. Um, at least I felt like, I felt like there was more story to tell with him. But I do like this film a lot. Like I said, I do like it more than the Apprentice. I thought it was the better film for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
I think he should win the Oscar, to be honest.
I don't know who else is nominated, but yeah, I mean, it was definitely a worthy performance. I will say, I thought it was great, and yeah, it's a slow burn, and I'm not like a religious person. I don't know much about like the Pope or the the Vatican and all that. Like, I really don't know anything about it. Um, so going into it, I was a little worried, like I was gonna have to play a bit of catch up,
Mhm.
like figure out, okay, what are the dynamics? But I think the film does a really good job at just like not worrying about all that and just kind of focusing on the basics. Because when you boil this story down, it's really about a group of guys in, trying to find a new leader, essentially.
Yeah.
So it's not a super complex story in that sense. Um, because you do have betrayal and whatnot, and shady characters scheming to try to crawl their way into power. Um, so I really like that aspect of the story. Um, yeah, I also too. I think the film was trying to draw a lot of parallels to U.S. politics.
Hmm.
There's even a line about it where one of the cardinals was like, "This just feels like U.S. politics, like we're at a political convention or something." And I
Yeah.
think the film was trying to kind of make that comparison, because there are a lot of parallels to what we see in U.S. politics. So I did like that, and I thought that was kind of nice and refreshing and whatnot. Um, but yeah, I thought it was a solid drama overall.
Yeah, I also found, I mean, the ending to me is still, I saw this movie quite a while ago, and I still think
Mhm.
about that ending. And I think the Pope that dies is pretty close to what Pope Francis is, which is kind of a more progressive Pope compared to other
Yeah,
popes.
right.
And the end, I mean, I won't spoil it, but the ending of the movie is such a modern twist that it really leaves you feeling like you're kind of just like I've never seen that in a popal, I guess that's the word, popal drama. Like it's just, to put that ending in was a very bold move, in my opinion. And it
Yeah,
was not how I think anyone was expecting it to end.
yeah, no, it definitely takes a left turn, right at the end, pretty much. And
Yeah.
I do think that aspect of the story is interesting, and I do think it works overall. And we can talk spoilers. I mean, it's not,
Okay.
a
Okay.
big
Cool.
deal. But it's revealed the Pope that gets elected is a hermaphrodite,
Yeah.
which I thought that was interesting, an interesting aspect of the story and whatnot. Because at first, when it's revealed, I thought the Pope was a transgender, from
Oh yeah.
female to male, and it took me a second to pick up. Oh wait, no, this person is a hermaphrodite. They got both female and male organs.
Yeah.
So it definitely took a twist, and that was really not hinted at whatsoever throughout the film, like at all. And the Pope that does get elected is very much a supporting character.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they're not they don't play a huge part in the story. I will say up until the end, they're just kind of there in the background, and we're aware of that person. But the core focus is of the dean of the conclave, as that's the title or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, in his struggles to essentially run a conclave to vote the next pope in a way that's fair. And the movie does take a lot of twists and turns, which I enjoyed. Um, and yeah, I thought it was just a great drama. I really enjoyed it. I think the acting's spot on. There's some beautiful cinematography sprinkled in
Oh my
throughout.
God. Yeah. It's a
I
beautiful
thought that was
movie.
really good. And
Well
yeah,
edited too.
the performances were great. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought the movie was like expertly edited. There's not really from what I remember, there was not really a moment in the movie that didn't have to be there. You know, in my opinion, at least. But yeah, the other performances I thought that were great were Stanley Tucci was really good. I liked him a lot.
Mhm.
I thought John Lithgow was very good. He can be a little bit like, thespian for me. So, but I liked him a lot, and I thought Isabella Rossellini was great. And they're all performances that are really. I mean, Stanley Tucci less so, but they're all performances that are really subtle. Stanley
Yeah,
Tucci's character is a little more like open about his emotions, but the others are
for
kind of
sure.
in this very lockdown kind of mentality, or we're gonna keep things close to our chests.
Right. Yeah, I do agree for sure. Where they do have to play politics in this film.
Yeah.
They can't necessarily just show all their emotions and whatnot. And they have to be careful in uh, who they do it in front of if they are to show their emotions. Um, and Stanley Tucci, his character is definitely the most open about where he wants the church to go. He's very much more liberal and progressive and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then we have someone who's much more old school and wants to see old ways kind of
The Italian
come back. What's
guy.
that?
Are you talking about the Italian?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
The other conservative opponent.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was very good. I don't
Yeah.
know
No, I
the
thought.
actor's name, but he was quite good.
Yeah, he was good in that. Um, and like I said, I do think it's a slow burn. Like there are plenty of scenes where you just like sit with these characters and almost like think with the characters, try to figure out, especially the main character. Um, I can't remember the guy's name.
I think it's Thomas. I think it's Thomas.
Yeah, something like that. Um, where you sit with these characters and you think about kind of what this guy's going to do next, because he is faced with a lot of tough decisions. Not only about really what the right thing is to do as just a human, but also the right thing for the church and balancing those two things and whatnot. And I thought that was really well done.
Yeah.
Like all his motivations, all of them are they make sense. You're never left kind of questioning, oh, why did he do that, or anything like that. Like, you completely understand where he's coming from, and then you also kind of understand where the opposition is coming from too, a little bit. Because the main character we follow, he's trying to play this unbiased um uh cardinal, essentially, right? And he's just trying to, he does get a vote in who the next pope is, but he's just trying to orchestrate it all. And he's
Yeah.
not necessarily, he's trying not to necessarily persuade one side or the other. He just wants to go smoothly. And I think that's kind of where his lack of faith comes in too. And where that can play a part, because it's kind of left up in the air a little bit, like why the Pope chose this guy to run the conclave. Because he talks about how he tried to resign, and the Pope
Mhm.
said, no, you're not going to resign. And he thinks, the Pope wanted him to run this conclave. And he does have a very level headed personality to him,
Yeah.
where he will do something even if it hurts like his side, because we are made aware he leans more towards like the progressive side. And there are times where he has to make tough decisions that could potentially hurt that side and who he wants to see be the next pope. um so yeah, I don't know, what are your thoughts?
No, I agree with all that. I thought that he's really pushed to make these big questions about his own faith. And yeah, I mean, it's a lot of pressure. It's not just that church, it's how the Christian church is going to interact or across the world. It's all like it's a big decision, and
Yeah.
he's very good at displaying that kind of pressure. Um, I also really enjoyed God, what was his name? He's the guy who the woman shows up and is claiming that he's her. I
Yeah.
can't remember his name or the country he's from,
Yeah, I can't
but
remember either.
I thought he was great. I've seen him in things before. He was in Game of Thrones and a couple other television shows, and he was really great. There were a lot of like characters who weren't um they weren't like uh marketed in the marketing of the film as main characters, but they wound up being just as significant. And I always like when a movie does that. Like you think, like, it's kind of like those four actors were the ones who were kind of marketed, and
Hmm.
but there are quite a few more who are very interesting. And the scene when John Lithgow is revealed to be like this Judas like person is, I thought was great. I thought that was a great scene.
Yeah, in the cafeteria.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I like that scene a lot. um let's jump to the comment section. We have
Yeah, let's do it.
Banacor. He went to our same college. I don't want to dox us, but
Oh my God.
yeah,
Okay.
same major too as me, cinema. So he knows his stuff. He also adds, I simply cannot see portals of that part of the world during that time period without expecting to see a hooded Italian guy jumping from rooftops. Um, I'm not sure what that's in reference to be honest. I'm a little confused.
This
I'm
is the
sure
wrong,
he's
like,
referencing a movie, I imagine, or something. Um, I'm not too sure though. And we got Corbin Hideout. Hey, I hope you're doing well. What's up, boys? Hope the
to go on.
Thursday is going well. It is. I hope your Thursday's going well. Also, um, yeah. So Conclave, I do recommend people watch it. It's
Yeah.
it's definitely a little slow at the beginning, but then like the third act really picks up. Where like, okay, I want to see how this plays out. And you
Yeah.
do get really invested in like, oh, who's the next pope? Who's it going to be, and
Yeah.
why? And I think ultimately it makes sense why uh, the one guy gets elected. And I thought that was an interesting twist at the end. It makes sense though. He's coming in at he came in without much knowledge of the other cardinals and whatnot. So he's kind of a little unbiased. Um,
He's probably the right person for the job.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah,
think so too. I was kind of hoping the main character would become the Pope. I
just
thought he would have.
elect himself and just take over.
I thought he would have been a good Pope, you
Yeah,
know. But it does make sense why the other guy gets it ultimately.
yeah,
And I like the reveal that they do with the final vote, where it's like, oh, who is it? You know, they kind of drag that on for like a minute or two, where
hmm
you're unsure, and they finally reveal it. And I like the way they revealed that. I thought that was pretty clever.
yeah.
Um,
No, I agree.
yeah, yeah, I thought it was pretty good. So yeah, I would definitely recommend everyone to check this one out.
Yeah, it's really
Um,
good. It's really good. I didn't
like I
expect
said,
it to be as good. Like I remember seeing the trailer and thinking like, all
yeah,
right, I've seen a lot of Pope things and but this kind of
yeah,
was outstanding.
yeah. The only other thing I've watched related to the Vatican and the Pope and whatnot is Two Popes.
Oh, I never saw that. I never saw
Oh,
that.
dude, that was really good.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
I'll
it's
have
on
to check it out.
Netflix. I would
I'll have to check it
recommend
out.
that. That was
I
another
remember
one.
there was an HBO show uh called The Young Pope with Jude
Mm,
Law, and then they made like a second season that was called The New Pope with John Malkovich.
interesting.
Yeah,
The Young Pope does sound a little familiar. I haven't seen it,
yeah.
but was this recent?
No, probably like 8 years ago. I think
Okay,
so. Yeah.
got it. Yeah, interesting. It does sound familiar, that title. I haven't seen it though. But um, yeah, like like I said, I don't really know much about the Vatican or the Pope or anything like that. Um, and I'm not really a religious person at all. But I still enjoyed this. I think it's a interesting drama about what people will do to try to get into power. And like I
Yeah.
said,
Oh yeah.
I think there's a lot of parallels to U.S. politics today. You know,
Yeah.
and yeah, I thought it was really well done. I will
Yeah.
say.
I didn't see the directors. The director who made Conclave was the same guy who did All Quiet on the Western Front. That
Okay,
Netflix film. I never saw that, although I heard it's
is that a
fantastic.
remake? Isn't that
It
all?
is. It is, but it's a remake from the German. It's like the original was an American, I believe. I don't know, but the original, I believe, was an American movie, like about American soldiers, and this one's about
It could
German
be.
soldiers because the director is a German person, and
I
yeah, and
don't
then
know. I
this was
think
his next film.
I'm pretty sure the original is about German soldiers. I believe.
You are probably right, actually. Now that I think
Well,
about
I
it.
know it's originally based on a book. You
Okay,
know,
and yeah, maybe I'm wrong. I think I'm wrong, but
maybe you're right. You're a smart dude. You could be
yeah,
right.
but now that I'm
You,
thinking about it,
you know your movie stuff too.
yeah, but I
So
haven't seen that. But yeah, well, it doesn't matter. But yeah, no, Conclave though was incredible. I'm very excited to see what he does next.
and that's on Netflix. You said All Quiet on the
Yeah,
Western
yeah, it's
Front.
a Netflix film. I
Maybe I'll have
remember
to
one of my
watch that.
friends saw it and he couldn't stop talking about it.
Yeah, maybe I'll have to watch that. I watched a YouTube video about the original.
Oh, okay.
Um,
So you're probably right then.
I don't know. I forget things a lot,
Okay.
so I don't know. Uh, Corbin Hideout says that movie was very well done. I didn't know there was an original movie.
Yeah, no,
Yes,
it's a remake.
this is from probably the 40s, I imagine. I think it.
So
Well,
yeah.
unless I can't remember now. If it's in between World War One and World War Two, or if it's after World War Two. I can't remember how the original movie is. Yeah, I'm not sure. But yeah, there's an original, and there's this iconic shot um, of somebody holding up, like trying to escape from a bomb going off, and they're holding onto a fence, and the bomb goes off, and all that's left
Is his
is that.
arm.
What's that?
All
Is his
that's left
arm.
is oh shit, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So there's that iconic shot from that film.
Okay. I
Um,
think I've seen that before.
yeah. Oh, I'm sure you have. Yeah, it's I think it's probably the most famous shot from that movie. But yeah, getting back to Conclave, I don't know if I have anything else necessarily to add about it. Other than definitely check it out. It's on Peacock for free. It's about 2 hours. I will say, I don't know. Like I said, it is a slow burn, but once you get into it, and once you get into the whole drama and the politics of it all, it will pick up for you. And that's what happened with me, at least, where it picked up towards the end.
That scene though, where the explosion goes off,
Mhm.
that was wild. That was wild.
Yeah, that was pretty well done, and
Yeah.
yeah, that was wild, and it's interesting too, and I think this applies to modern day politics, especially within the last couple of weeks of a certain tragedy of the
Yeah.
opposition trying to use that tragedy to essentially win the election and using that tragedy not as a political game, essentially, right? And
Yeah.
so I thought that was a super interesting parallel that I recognize that happens today, and is very much a real thing that people will do.
Yeah, I don't think
So,
you're very much correct on that. I don't think that I really connected American politics as well as you did, but now that you're saying it, it makes a lot of sense. And it's very interesting to make a movie about such an old religion and such an old, like, the Vatican is such an old thing, and like,
mhm.
it's interesting to do that and then do parallels with modern politics. Right? So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, that's a very interesting point.
Yeah, and well, it's interesting too because maybe that's not what the film necessarily was going for, but I think it applies to
Yeah.
politics because
Yeah.
it's the same presence. Premise is just that, is somebody trying to crawl their way to being the head honcho and in power, and what people will do to get there,
Yeah.
um, in the politics involved. So yeah, I don't know. I just found it to be a good film, and you're supposed to think of these cardinals as sophisticated, elite men, essentially. That's like I said, are sophisticated, and it turns out they're really not. It's pretty much a rat race. I feel like to power, and yeah, they're willing to do what it takes, and yeah, I just found it interesting.
Yeah, and
So,
each of them has like skeletons in their closet which come out, and
mhm.
that is also like a really powerful, relevant thing. I mean, everyone's got demons, and everyone has
Yeah,
like mistakes they've made, and that does when you are racing to a certain position, people will do what people need to do in order to,
we'll exploit that. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, John Lithgow's scene being a prime example of, and it's also an example of how doing what he's using this past incident with this other cardinal to gain momentum, but while doing it completely destroys his own chances of becoming. So it's kind of like,
he shoots himself in the foot a little. Yeah,
exactly, and that's kind of a good lesson for some people, in my opinion.
I
But
suppose. Yeah, yeah. No, that's interesting. I didn't really thought about it like that. Yeah. Um, Anything else to add about Conclave before we wrap up here?
can we see the comments, or are there none?
Let's see. I think we're all caught up with the comments.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, we're all caught up with the comments. So if anyone in the comment section does have anything else they want to add about the movie, please let us know now or forever hold your peace. Um, let's see. What are we watching for next week? Let's do that while we wait for
Oh,
any
well, what would
comments.
you give Conclave?
Well, that's a good question. I would say 8.5 out of 10.
I think I'd
Yeah.
give it probably the same.
I don't know if I'm necessarily rushing to rewatch it, but I would rewatch it eventually. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I thought it was, yeah, good. Um, okay, so next week we have on the schedule Dune Part 2,
Okay.
And then Nickel Boys,
All right.
which we will have to see where that's streaming. But yes, so Dune Part 2 we will watch for next week, and then also Nickel Boys. So if anyone in the chat wants to participate in next week's discussion, watch those films in preparation if you have not already done so. And
Have you still not seen Dune?
not the second one. No, I've seen the original.
Have you seen the part 1?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you'll like part 2.
We'll see.
You
I
will.
don't know. Maybe. We'll see.
Everyone likes it.
Everyone likes it, he says. We got Corbin Hideout. Glad to pop in, guys. I'll check them out, and my girl is up for it. Awesome. Fantastic.
Cool.
Yeah, why don't we end it here? We've gone for about an hour now. Do you have anything you want to plug real quick before we hop off?
Go see The Order if you haven't seen that. That's a movie that's not being talked about as much as it should.
What is it?
The Order.
The Order.
I think I mentioned it last week because I had just seen it like a couple days before that. But
with Jude Law.
Yeah. Great film.
When did this come out?
Last year, but it's not getting any Oscar nominations. It got a lot of great reviews, but yeah, for some reason it's
Actually, I'm gonna maybe watch this soon.
Yeah, you should. It's really good.
This seems like something I really enjoy. It's got Nicholas Hoult in it. Awesome.
He's great. It's a really good movie.
Fantastic. Yeah, I'm gonna. Oh, geez, it doesn't look. Like
and go see Nosferatu. That is a beautiful film.
That's what I'm waiting for it to drop.
Yeah,
price it. Yeah, because it's on Amazon and streaming, but you have to pay like a gazillion dollars to watch it. It's like $20 just to rent it. And it's like, well, what the hell? Let's see where to watch The Order. No, so you got to rent this one for $10. That seems crazy.
Okay, then yeah, wait, it'll show up.
Yeah, it does look good though. I will definitely watch it.
Good.
We have Nick Bruno in the chat. Thank you for joining, Nick. We're just about to end.
What's up, Nick?
It could be Kaylin too. Kaylin might be. Kaylin, I was talking to her yesterday. She said she's gonna watch, and she lied. I don't think she's watching. She's a liar.
Oh man.
Corbin Hideout. Don't even remember that one. It looks good. Yeah. Maybe we'll add that to the list to watch because it does look pretty good. She's a fraud. Absolutely right. You're absolutely correct in saying that. All right. I think we are going to end it here. Please like and share and subscribe if you have not already done so. And yeah, we will catch you in next week's Silver Screen Show. Oh, wait, Kaylin is here. She just joined. She's a liar. She's a freaking liar. But all right. Yes. Thank you everyone for watching. And we will see you next week, next Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, yep. Take care.